Believers doing a series or giving you some options for how to lighten up for Lent. And we are partnering with several of my friends and colleagues to pull in and be able to utilize their expertise and give you some options for how to lighten up for Lent. And I have with me Stephanie Doherty, who runs Green Sage. And I'm gonna let her introduce herself and tell you a little bit about what that is.
Great. Thank you so much, Anne. First of all, I'm really honored that you brought me on here. I'm super happy to share about this, and I love what you're doing. It's really wonderful. So yeah, my name is Stephanie Ramsden Doherty. I have a company called Green Sage that I created, and my goal with this company is to help people transition to a whole food, plant-based diet. So I offer really delicious recipes, cooking instruction, nutrition education, and mindfulness lessons to help people make that switch. So I do that in the form mostly of online courses, but I also issue a recipe email newsletter about once a week. And I have a group on Facebook called Bite-Sized Tips for Healthy Living, where I share kind of more comprehensive lifestyle advice too.
Oh, cool. Now, what made you decide, what did you see as a need for this? What made you decide there was a need for this and caused you to start this?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, and before I answer that directly, I feel like maybe I should clarify and explain what a whole food plant-based diet is.
Okay, cool.
It is a diet that consists entirely of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes, and whole grains. And it excludes all animal products and all refined and processed foods. That's what differentiates whole food plant-based from just generally vegan. Vegan being excluding all animal products, but maybe not necessarily the refined and processed foods. So this would be like a healthy vegan diet as a whole food plant-based diet. And I really feel driven and called to help people with this transition because, well, actually there are several problems that maintaining a diet like this addresses. But the first and most important in my mind, and probably for most people, is our health. There is an overwhelming body of science to support that the assertion that a whole food plant-based diet is optimal for human health. There's, thousands of peer-reviewed clinical studies that show that this is the case. And maybe the most prevalent disease, chronic illness that this helps with is heart disease. Heart disease is our #1 killer in the United States. It takes the lives of over 600,000 men and women every year. So in other words, over 1 in 4 deaths a year is from heart disease. And it's a disease that's caused entirely by lifestyle factors. I know that many people believe that heart disease runs in the family, but actually the reason why it appears that way is because most often lifestyle factors run in the family. We learn the way we eat from our parents and that passes down. But actually your family medical history doesn't have to be your own personal destiny. As a matter of fact, they've done tests on identical twins, and those with different lifestyle factors have different medical outcomes. So that's one of the many chronic diseases that a whole food plant-based diet can help with. Heart disease is not only preventable, but it's actually reversible if you eat this way, which many people don't know. But actually all of the top 15 causes of death in the United States are all lifestyle related, and a whole food plant-based diet can dramatically decrease your risk of dying of all of those illnesses. So my goal in sharing this information is to make it very well known how important it is. But I want people to also know that it doesn't have to be like you're eating cardboard all the time. It's kind of a common misconception. A lot of people believe that, yeah, I'm gonna have to eat tofu and salad all the time and it's gonna be horrible, but actually it can be really delicious. It really can cover all of your nutritional needs. It can help you lose weight. It can make you feel more energetic. And it can not only add years to your life, but it can add life to your years.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, and one of the reasons that I chose this and what Stephanie's doing for Lent is that as you know, one of our calls as Christians is to be good stewards of the earth. And the flip side of it being good for our bodies is that the diet that Stephanie is advocating for also helps us to live lightly on this earth. And there are many studies that show, if Americans would just take one day off a week of consuming meat, it could make a huge difference in our environment, in the quality of our air, in all sorts of things. So definitely a move toward this diet is not only good for you, but it is good for the earth. So, and that is why I wanted Stephanie to talk about this, especially in regards to Lent. As we look at doing things that make ourselves healthier and that make our world healthier, and we live into that call to be good stewards of the earth, that this is one way in which we can do so. So Stephanie, what are the hardest things to do as you start? And I know that you also you encourage people to start, either you can go all in or you can make small changes, but what are the big obstacles when people say, yes, I'm in, I want to do this kind of diet, I want this kind of lifestyle? What are the hurdles? What are the biggest issues people face?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm actually super psyched that you mentioned just swapping out one meal a week as a really effective way to take that first step. That is exactly what I advocate. Something like Meatless Monday, but obviously it doesn't have to be Monday. One day a week, if you have a dinner, that would be a great way to start. A lot of people, to answer your question more directly now, a lot of people feel like, wow, I would like to eat this way. I don't know what to cook. Like everything that I learned to cook in my life that I've always cooked is meat centered. And it would be difficult and overwhelming. Sometimes it feels overwhelming to go into the grocery store and buy new ingredients and then to not know how to cook them. So that's really where I feel like I can come in and help. But if someone was taking these steps on their own, I would just say to go on Pinterest or Facebook or wherever it doesn't even have to be a social media outlet. It could be a cookbook. But you can find a blog and you can go online and find a recipe that looks good to you. It doesn't have to be complicated. Something like a chili, for example, without the meat. There are a lot of options you can do to make that. And you would just buy the ingredients for that one recipe and give it a shot. If you like it, print it out, put it in a little binder, a 3-ring binder, and then the next week, do the same with a different recipe. And if you do that once a week, over time, you can, over time, you'll amass a little binder of recipes that you enjoy. And, you may even be inspired to cook 2 plant-based recipes a week. So I think that would be one of the challenges, is just that initial feeling of overwhelm, of feeling like you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. A lot of people have a strong emotional association with their food. So maybe in the spirit of Lent, if you're willing to take that leap of faith, to make a little sacrifice and step out of your comfort zone just for one meal a week, that might help you to overcome those feelings of overwhelm.
Okay, cool. So you can kind of establish kind of a set of things that you like to eat, that you're comfortable with cooking. And I know on your Instagram page, you post food that looks so good.
Thank you. It's a passion of mine. I love to do that. But one of my aims, and it's a really strong conviction for me, is that anyone can do this. It's just a matter of, learning a few new things here and there. It's something that I learned by trial and error over time, a lot of time. And so I feel in a really excellent position now, having learned these things on my own, to kind of spare others the mistakes, and I can just kind of help people with this, go straight to the good stuff. It's really doable.
Well, that's good. And it sounds like you can it is something that you can work up to and work into. Rather than just saying, I am never going to eat another egg again.
Right. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. 100%. Yes.
And so there's ways to do that. So if people say, hey, you know what, I'd like to start eating less meat. I'd like to start eating more whole foods for Lent. What should they do? How can you help them?
Yes. Okay. So I think my first recommendation would be to subscribe to my email newsletter. Once a week or so. It's a little bit less frequently than that. I share a recipe. And they're deliberately simple recipes because I'm putting them out there for people who are relatively new to this lifestyle and cooking this way. I always include, or almost always include, a gluten-free option too for those who need it. So it's inclusive that way. Another way to follow what I'm doing is to follow me on Instagram. I'm at Green Sage Life, and that's where you can also find me on Facebook. So you'll see my posts there. And then even more exciting, possibly, if we can do this together, I have an online course coming up. I'm going to run it in April, but it's not timed very coincidentally with Lent. So I've been talking to Anne, and we were thinking about maybe running one together that is structured specifically for Lent. And it would include a few recipes a week. So it's not overwhelming at all. And there will be, shopping lists and some nutrition information. So if anyone is interested in joining us for that, maybe if you could express your interest to one of us by the end of the week, and then we'll know whether we can run this and put it together. It will be really fun and really hopefully enlightening for everyone to see how doable this is and to learn some of the nutrition information that supports this as an optimal diet for your health and for the planet. And even for those who love animals, it's really pretty good for animal welfare as well.
There you go. Well, we'll have a link at the bottom in this video, at the bottom of this video, of where you can click to say, yes, I'd like to know more, and then you can choose whether or not to opt in. And like Stephanie said, if we can get kind of a critical mass of folks who are interested in doing that, we will do this online course over the course of Lent for folks who are interested in lightening up for Lent that way, and lightening up our footprint, and lightening up our cholesterol levels. There's a lot of ways. I can personally attest that you do not have to go hungry, because Stephanie knows that I made a meal recently, not too long ago, where, oh my gosh, it was so much food I couldn't eat it because the elements of the food were so filling.
That's really nice to hear. It's true, actually, because there's so much fiber in these plant-based meals, which is so good for your body on so many levels. And 98% of Americans don't get enough. So it's really important. But basically, you're eating a lot more volume of food with a lot fewer calories. So a lot of people tend to lose weight as a happy side effect too. So you feel full and you can lose weight and boost your energy. So there are a lot of really nice benefits.
Cool. And for those of you, I know some of you may have done the Daniel diet. This is not quite as stringent as the Daniel diet, but it's very much in keeping with that idea. The plant-based whole foods in the story of Daniel, that is what Daniel insisted that he and his friends ate rather than the food that the rest of the royal court was eating. And at the end of the time period, they were healthier and stronger than the rest of the people. And so I know some of you have embarked on this Daniel diet. And this isn't quite as stringent as that one, but it is that same ethos, this whole food, plant-based diet. So it is very biblical, first in the diet structure and in the relief that it gives to our planet and the way it helps us take care of our world. And so, Stephanie, do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I just want to say thank you for including me in this. I'm really honored and really appreciated for the opportunity to share this message. I really hope that some of you will join us and we can all work together to lighten up for Lent.
All right, cool. All right, so you can click at the bottom of this video for more information and let us know if you want to be a part of this. And be looking for other videos for other ways that you can lighten up for Lent.